Welcome back. So we are today continuing the poverty bond from the video that I posted last week, I think. Yes. So in this constellation, we are going to be looking at how do we work with this poverty bond, and most importantly, how do we resource ourselves and move forward, right, from this bond, or at least start the steps to moving forward. Because this method is not the magic fixing pill that will just solve everything, but it's like a shovel, right? So it can help along the way, and also just raising the awareness for us to move forward. So firstly, I want to explain a little bit what constellation is. If you have no clue what is constellation work, I realize I have never actually explained that so far in my videos. But constellation work is a therapy process that was developed by Bert Hellinger. He was a psychotherapist and a priest, and came up with this method of dealing with family patterns or family systemic ways in family that kind of shows up in our life like a cycle. I'm just now doing a brief, out of top of my head explanation. So now what I'm doing here, I am doing a model for you at home, for anyone to use, to helping look inside their problem or whatever the situation on their own, is in like a one-on-one, right? I know that a lot of people I know don't know anything about constellations, and that's why I'm here. That's why I want to also spread the awareness of constellation work also. Okay, let's just get for this session. You're gonna need 3 preps, 3 objects. If you've watched other models I've done, you can use anything. You can use stones, you can use Legos. I don't have my shells and my stones here, but you can use anything. You can literally use just an object to represent. These are going to be our representation, right? And what that means is just that this is representing a particular something. We are wanting to make it tangible, that we can hold it or that we can see it, and that we can kind of put it in a place that it's represented. And that's why I prefer to have objects. You can also, of course, do it all mentally, by mentally having that represented. I find that quite difficult in general. So this is easier. And also, yeah, so you have your 3 preps, and you're gonna name all of them. They're all gonna represent something, like I said. So this one is gonna represent the poverty bond, or poverty rather. This is our relationship, or the bond we have to poverty. So it's what this one's gonna represent. And one of them will represent the opposite of poverty. So I like to say abundance, and play like as an opposite of poverty. So whatever abundance means to you, or whatever the opposite of poverty means to you, riches, I guess that's a bit vague, but abundance, like whole roundedness, right? Having, resources and being resourceful, or having a full cup that you can pour towards other people. Whatever that abundance is to you, you name it. Okay, and then this one, the last one, is going to represent your family, or rather your community, or where you grew up, where it was poor, and where you grew up in poverty. So that will represent that, your family, your community, your society, that is holding the same vibration really, that is also in poverty. So this is what it's going to represent. So now we're going to start working with all three of these entities, really. And we're going to be working with our relationships, our relationship with each and every one of them. And starting with poverty, right? So I think I said this was poverty. Okay, so holding poverty in your hand. Before we start, I'll say that you are doing this obviously in a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, and you are able to kind of be here. I would advise that you create a field or like a space that you create a space that will mark that you are doing this work for yourself. So when you're in that space, you can even meditate or do breathing work to kind of begin or to set your mind, or you can just sit in stillness and just start. But I want you to bring the awareness that you're about to start a process. And again, this process is very simple in its nature, but it's not simple in its effects, because we are working systemically. We are working emoyeni, if I get Zulu. So we're doing a little piece here, but it has a bigger effect. So it needs you to also bring your attention here while you're doing it. Okay, so you have your poverty, and firstly, I'm going to invite you to do this for yourself, to place each and every object however it feels right for you to place. For example, I don't think you can see my floor, but for example, I'll put these here. So far, for example, you can place them anywhere in relation to each other. Maybe you can place this one in front of this one, or this one at the back, but place them however it feels right to you, and then take note at where they're positioned, where you put who next to who, right? As that is, you're going to be aware as to how you feel about all of these three pieces, representation, and what is their relationship towards each other for themselves. Because for everyone is different. Their relationship between having and not having, from abundance to lack, right? Poverty to having abundance. We all have different relationships towards. Some have a completely, they don't know each other, hostile. Some think this one is better than that, or we're trying to balance it, or we're aiming to abundance, but we feel the pull of lack and poverty kind of pulling us, right? So whatever the relationship you have for yourself, in this, putting in also our family, our community, because there is a hidden loyalty of to these entities. There is a hidden loyalty to where we come from, whether we want to be rich or we don't want to be rich, or whether we want to be abundantly or not. It's kind of is a loyalty that we made back then, either to say, I promised myself I will have money because I didn't have it growing up, and we kind of have that loyalty that I will come back and I will take care of everyone and I'll provide, right? That's loyalty that we might have unconsciously or consciously. Or we might say that, I will honor you by being poor so that I'm also part of the community. Sometimes we hear people say, it's like a community. They're now loyal to be poor, to belong, or to feel connected to each other, really. Okay. Now, after you've placed them and you've noted for yourself, I would advise that you get a pen and you write what is coming up for you. It's going to be important that you note it down so that you can come back to it. What did you notice? What are you seeing? What is next to what? And how does that make you feel? And kind of follow what is coming out and be free in your writing, I would say, while you're observing this process. And when you are feeling called to, or you're feeling ready, I will then advise you that you get your representation for the poverty, the bond that you have with the poverty, and offer a sentence, holding it in your hand and really sitting with that, right? And saying to this representation that is representing poverty, I choose to part with you, or something along the lines of, this is where I end our bond, or this bond. A statement of declaring that you are choosing, or you're making a choice of turning away from poverty, or of ending this bond, right? And maybe recognizing that you were born into it, if that is the case, and it's something you were born into, but now you're choosing different, right? And when you're done with that, you can also write what is coming up for you, or what you're picking up from poverty. If you are picking up from that representation, you'll then move to the community or your family, where the poverty was nested, or was given into, even by the government era, the apartheid era, right? And you say, the sentence that you're going to say to our family or our community is, you gave me all that you could, because they did, they really did, but I don't have to take all of it, and therefore I don't want to take poverty. Ask that you belong without belonging to poverty bond, right? Something along those lines. And also, it will come what else feels right for you to offer your community, but offering that you are deeply grateful that they brought you up, even if it was traumatic maybe, but you are leaving poverty with them, because it can't be part of you anymore. You're choosing differently, right? And when it feels right, then you can take abundance, and you can have another representation, I guess, for yourself, and choose abundance, and then put it next to you and say, now I walk with you. You walk now with the abundance. Now, this is a very simple piece, like I said, but we are working systematically. We're working on the emoyeni, right? I try to bring it ngesiZulu. So small things have big ripple effects, just like in the ocean. So do this exercise, or this constellation model, and you don't have to do it again. You can do it once and just leave it, and then go on with embracing your life. And more videos will follow up on what I suggest next, because I have few suggestion sessions regarding such a topic. But I want to leave it here today, and hope you enjoy the session that you're going to do for yourself, and that you look into this such a big concept, really, because it's such a deep wound. Poverty and hunger, it's such a deep wound. So we must tend to it with care, really. Once you struggle for food, it leaves such a deep wound. But yeah, love and light to all of you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful. Bye bye.